All right. We should be live. Today we're doing an update with basically going over the Windows Update to Bloat script. One of the most popular ones. Whoa. I gotta change that. Still working up. It's been a little bit since I did my YouTube live streams, and I'm gonna be doing more of these, but I'll unlist them afterwards, so it's just gonna be a live interaction. But as I do and make a lot of my YouTube videos, I'm gonna actually go into um, fixing a lot of my scripts. So, or just whatever project I'm working on for a video, I'm just gonna get live feedback while I do it, which I think will make it just a better video at the end of the day. But yeah, we'll run a couple hours usually on these live streams and just kind of hammer out some stuff. But if you guys have questions, whatnot, we'll do it. So it'll be good. Also still working on like stream elements and some other stuff here. I'm actually gonna pull that up real fast. Oh boy, how's everybody doing today? I just got back from Great Bend, Kansas. I actually went to a funeral this past week. I decided I was gonna make a video about it. So tomorrow's video is actually gonna be a more personal video, probably more personal I've ever done on the channel. So that's why I'm kind of changing things a little bit with some of my content where I'm just like, hey, let's do it. But it's still all tech focused, as many people know. I love all tech, and I love live stream, love live feedback, love talking to y'all. So that's what I'm doing here. I normally do it over on Twitch, but I don't know. Lately, I'm just like, whatever feels the best is where I'm going. I'm just like, all right. So I'm like, hey, let's do some more YouTube live streams. I said I'd do at least one a month, and I'm gonna probably do a lot more than that. But this past Friday, I missed my live stream just because of all my travel. Spent about probably I want to say 16 to 17 hours in the car between Thursday and Friday. Still recovering on that one. Well, hey, Armando, great to have you, man. First live stream. We've done quite a bit. I've live streamed a little bit since starting in early 2019. When we hit 1,000 subscribers in 2019, is the very first live stream I ever did. And I've done, probably a couple dozen on YouTube, probably 100 or so on Twitch. But it's always a fun time. Windows 10 20H2 NIC driver, NIC driver corruption. What version of Windows am I on? I'm on 2004 still. I haven't updated 20H2 just because of some of those issues. I have run into a lot of that text. 20H2 is not the best. 2004 honestly had quite a bit of bugs as well. Yeah, I mean optimizing PCs all it's a journey, not a destination when it comes to optimizing a PC, especially in the Windows realm. And why I like this toolbox that I've kind of created so much, and it's something where I'm just going to continually update it every month or two, is because of the changes Microsoft makes. To use Windows, you really have to be optimizing it. Otherwise, you're just kind of doing yourself a disservice. So that's why I always do it. I don't really have too many Windows Update problems. Usually, I always am doing my group policies around that, where I always push all my feature updates. Like I said, I'm on 2004, and I'm not going to be pushing that to 20H2 anytime soon, or the spring release of 21H1 anytime soon. I won't go to that version. I'll cover it, Ladrago. So don't think that I won't cover the new versions of Windows as they come out, but it's nothing to where I would ever push it on like my main machine. I never recommend anybody to update Windows to the latest version. That doesn't mean disable updates. You know, I made a video a while back where a lot of people criticized me for disabling updates. I'm like, well, sometimes it's just really annoying for folks. So I've since kind of showed people a little more complicated version of doing it, but really doing how businesses do it with group policy objects, putting through your security updates after about 4 days, and then as far as the actual Windows feature updates, pushing those back at least a couple years. And I do mean years, not months. Feature updates need a lot of time to bake, and that's just because There is no quality control with Microsoft. I don't think anybody would debate me on that. So here's the big thing with this script, and I'll pull it up here. We'll just go to the desktop real fast. And, oh, you know what? I think I have it on my website. I need to update this post anyways. And go over here. Yeah, there we go. Scenes untitled. Oh, actually. Still been. Gosh, that's not it either. 1 second. Still working on my Stream Deck here, getting it reconfigured for the old YouTubers. All right. But we basically, how the actual script works, how it's worked in the past, is mainly just going like here, clicking this in, and then it just launches into a GUI. Now, the Sophia script and some others, we will be pulling up today. It's getting the best. The thing about open source and GitHub, why it's so awesome, is because we can pull the brilliance out of other projects as well and institute them, or actually push them in here. And those scripts are good. We'll run them in their own right today and just kind of show you the different types of Windows 10 scripts, because my toolbox is meant to be kind of more of a starting place for most people, where some of these scripts really go in depth and give you every single option to tweak. And I highly recommend those if that's really what you want to do. Mine, I kind of wanted to make just something to where it's really easy to run and just go after it. So invest in Doge. Don't invest in Doge. I will never tell anyone to buy Dogecoin. Old Elon's pumping that as much as anybody else. But yeah, Dogecoin is a hyperinflationary asset. I want to remind people that. It used to be all jokes, but now people actually starting to dump money into it. Now I'm actually like, hey guys, Dogecoin's a terrible investment, hyperinflationary. I think there's 160 billion in circulation. Please don't invest in Dogecoin. You're just throwing your money down the drain. If you want to do it for a joke, that's great, but don't do it as an investment. Don't think you're going to make money on Dogecoin. Unless you're Elon Musk's kid, and then you can tell your dad to, hey, can you tweet out a picture of a Shinny Emu? I mean, that's kind of what he does. It's very easy to manipulate the price of Doge if you're Elon Musk. But yeah, don't buy Dogecoin. But thanks for the super chat, Aaron. All right, so this is what this is doing right now, and there's a couple changes we have to make. The first one is security. I have to remove the Windows Defender and Windows Defender updates. By disabling these, I'm actually getting flagged as a virus. And I'm tired of getting emails from folks saying, hey, I can't run your script. It's either being flagged as a virus, or Microsoft's new update, I think 20H1, they're basically making it to where the PowerShell code to do this no longer works anyways, and basically makes the script just die. And that's something we have to change. And most of it is because of the disabling of Windows Defender. As they lock down Windows more and more, we have to get a little more creative with our workarounds. What makes cryptocurrency valuable? Oh, man. People believe in it. That's how. I think you can make money in it, but at the same time, it's very speculative, which means you're going to have wild swings up and down. I love me some crypto though. Don't get me wrong, but don't be one of those hardcore believers that think, hey, this thing's just gonna go to the moon. It's not like the asset of a house or something that actually has real world value. Crypto doesn't. It's all ones and zeros in cyberspace. You can make money in it, and by all means, I'm usually a big advocate of it. But right now, so many things are so inflated that I think a lot of people are going to get wiped out whenever the correction comes, which will inevitably happen. All right, I'm going to pull up some code here, and we're going to pull up this entire project, and we'll just go open file, or actually open recent. Let's see. It's been a little bit since I've worked on this. I think it's been a couple months actually since my last Windows 10 script update. So this is the main script, and the first thing we're going to do here, I'm going to close this out. I kind of wanted to just give you a baseline of what we're looking at and then move on from there. Yeah, as far as wallpapers and stuff, I really need to, but I'm not very good with design aesthetics. But I'm getting better, getting better. One other thing I wanted to do was there's another script in here kind of called restore um, AC. I want to see if we can just do a tab for begin and then restore because a lot of people said, hey, I want to revert these changes. I want to make it really easy. Yeah, and most of this is all written by me. How you do the design of this actual form, I use, I'll pull it up here. Oh, can't remember exactly what it was. I think I left a link for this. But GUI designer PowerShell. Can't remember exactly. There's a Posh GUI. I think that was it. Was it? Yeah, that was it. That'd be it. Let's just go chat. It's all defaulting to that. All right. 1 second. I'm gonna fix this. But we're gonna fix that up. But yeah, use Posh GUI or GUI for designing the actual interface that you're seeing. And let me pull up my projects. Here we go. And here we go. So I got these two designs, and these core designs, you can actually put it all in this. So this is a good way of cheating without having to do all of that. So that's great. How you feeling about VET? What's VET? Never even heard of VET. It's probably a crypto project. I haven't actually dealt with it, man. Let's see. Your subscription. I don't think I need to switch between them. If I go to designer, and we should be able to exit out of this and go into a win form to pull up this to actually design on it. Oh, they might have actually locked me out of this. Oh, they might have updated their stuff. Ah, darn it. Okay, they actually did this. This was a great free project once upon a time, but I think they actually changed this to where, yeah, you actually have to pay for it now. Crap. All right. Well, we're gonna have to go old school. But if you don't mind paying $7 a month, you can actually design an entire PowerShell GUI using Posh GUI. But it used to not cost money, but it does now. Bummer. Oh well. That's all right. Moving on. Does that still work? Galaxy? I think so. I think you have to. The custom emojis, I think work, but you have to like go into it like that through the little thing in your actual YouTube chat. I'm still working on decking out YouTube. I'll get there though. And we are going to look at Microsoft Edge Remover because the latest updates, even outside of feature updates, it's installing Microsoft Edge. I've noticed. I noticed that on my inside machine, and I've also noticed it out here. So they're getting really, really egregious with it. Microsoft is with their installing of stuff. So let's first look at our script here. We're going to change a couple things around. The first thing we're going to do is remove this low security right here. It's basically like a little script. The Windows Tools box is something to where you can install programs really easily, do essential tweaks. Like I always do these security updates only like this. This usually sets your delayed feature updates, security updates to 4 days, and then sets your active time to the proper time. But you can easily do this without doing it. I'll just show you that real fast. Because if you're using Windows, you should know this. gpedit.msc. Come into here in your local group policy editor, and then you're just going to simply come into administrative templates, Windows components, come down to Windows Update for business. And this is how I usually do it in any business. It's just come in here, set preview builds to enabled. You want the semi-annual channel as your one. Don't do release preview or preview build. Every person by default is on preview build. So Microsoft opts everybody in as a guinea pig to start out with. And everyone is in a business usually always goes to the semi-annual channel. So that's going to give you the most reliable thing. But even past that, I usually add 365 days. So once something's approved to go to the annual channel, I usually like to delay it another year. So that's why I put the 365. But this is just feature updates, not security updates. So you're fine with it. You're not less secure by doing this. And then for quality updates, this should be security updates, patches for known viruses and exploits. You want to come in here, hit enable, put 4 days. Why 4 days, right? That's just what I always have done because patches usually come out on Tuesday. 4 days from then is usually Saturday. That means if I patch something in a business, it's always like Saturday when that hits and installs. And then if something's wrong, I usually can get it out. But also you want to delay that because if something's really bad, by the time 4 days passes, usually Microsoft will pull that patch before the weekend hits. Not always, but it's most times you get rid of most headaches that way. And then preview builds, I usually just disable all preview builds. And you can do a feature target. I put 2004 for this one because I was using a lot of WSL2 work on this version of Windows. So WSL2, mainly just so I could get in here, do a hybrid Linux type thing, do like fish, and mainly stuff like that. I think I have timer in here too, or pip timer. I can't remember. But let me look at my history. What is that? I think I was doing. Maybe not. Nope. All right. But yeah, that's the reason why I'm on 2004. Is mainly for that feature. In business, though, I'm usually sitting at these days. I think at my main day job, I'm sitting about 1903 or 1809. I think actually, for most of the business computers. I don't speak Spanish. I speak a little bit of Spanish. I took a couple years of Spanish, but very, very little Spanish I know. Are excited for the upcoming LTSC release later this year. Not really. I don't really mess with LTSC too much. It's nice, but for the most part I don't really mess with it at all. Please add an option for all Microsoft system configuration, Windows optional features. Yeah, I don't know if we'll do drop-down lists for that. We're going to look at it, exploring some different ways of doing it or approaching it. Hey, what's up, Akari? When will the update toolbox be public? We'll probably do a commit on this stream live. So Samuel, if we like all the things we've added, we'll just do the commit. And I've done some subtle updates, which I'm going to show here in a second since I did that video, which towards the bottom here, these are all subroutines for each click. You can kind of see what we're doing. But let's take a peek here. We're going to come down to security. And the first thing we need to do is disable some features. This low portion, we're going to have to change how this works because right now they're flagging a lot of things. So we're going to disable probably everything but the meltdown flag, and defender's going to be left alone. Mainly just so we get around some nastiness with some of the latest updates. Hey, there's Mitchell too. Yeah, I mentioned Mitchell in a car because they've been with the channel for years. They were one of the very first people in the channel. So, any more Windows 10 tweaks? That's what we're doing today, Dan. Is doing some Windows 10 tweaks. Working on this. Let's go to do security. Let's see. Security low is the key we're needing. So security low. Let's just come on down here. One more. And we're going to leave UAC alone this time around. Well, you know what? Let's leave UAC there. But we do need to get rid of Windows Defender. This doesn't do anything anyways. They've removed disabling Windows Defender via registry edit, which is how this is doing it. Still can be done, but not this way. So let's get rid of this portion of it. Spynet, reporting, and submission consent. I'm going to go ahead and leave those in, though, because we don't want to be sending back any viruses that get hit to Microsoft, just as a privacy thing. Meltdown flag I'm going to leave in, so if you're running an older version of Intel, this should help you out quite a bit. You updated to the latest. Still, Defender is still dead. Ugh. Yeah. Killing defenders. As far as the malicious software removal tool, we're going to leave that in as well. So we're going to change those two things around, and then we're going to update the script, and we'll rerun it and just see what we have. Let's see here. Security low. Security low. And we're going to change some of these variables around. Text. That's fine. All right, so we have label 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, I wish I would have named these a little bit better, but using that little tool that they now charge for makes this a lot easier, but that's okay. We can still do it. So we're going to remove the first label, the second label, and the last label. So the 1, 2, 5. So 5, 6, and then I believe label 9 should do it. Let's take a peek. It's hard to say. I don't know where those are actually at. We'll see. Disable Windows Defender. We'll just look that up. Disable Windows Defender. Here's our labels. So we're going to change this to be the meltdown flag. I'm just going to move some of these around to change the description of this toolkit. And then meltdown flag is something we also will be doing still. USC never prompt, meltdown flag. And I want to say that's all we're going to use out of these labels. So we're going to just zero this out. And make sure we don't mess up any of our syntax while we do it. All right, that should give us that. And then what we can do is we can just run this script anytime we want to test it out, and then we'll do a full-blown run through after. Oops. All right. Not exactly what we wanted, but that's because I missed. Missed this. All right. Image viewer. Oh, man. Probably my favorite image viewer would be... What am I using now on my arch section? I'm drawing a blank. Oh, well. It's lost. It's lost. Faye is what I'm using for my background, Johans. Can you zoom in a little bit? Yeah, I think a little bit. I'm gonna work on some of the zoom capabilities of this presentation. Right now I can't. All right, this is not working. So let's see here. The first prompt there, we need to move meltdown flag's good. Set UAC prompt needs to be higher. To never prompt. So this one's set at 2440. This one's set at 24.6. And yeah, see, it's not even in the proper order. So it should be 24, 23. These are XY coordinates. And this should fix that position. 24.6, 24.23. So then if we cancel this out, close that form, rerun it, that should fix our line placement. And that's good. So we've just removed some of like the defender portion of this on low. This should be fine for 21H1 that's coming out for Windows 10. That will fix that problem. Essential tweaks, I've changed some stuff around too. Let's go down to essential tweaks. Essential tweaks. Tweaks. Couple different things I've added. You've probably seen some of the videos I've done about optimizing Windows networking performance. On the essential tweaks down here towards the bottom, I've added a couple things. First and foremost, let's see. No, it's up here. And we want to add in a removal of edge as well. Mitchell. I didn't even know that was a sticker. That's a great sticker. Oh, man. Yeah, let's go. You know what? I think I can zoom in a little bit using this. There we go. That should be a little bit better. A little bit easier for folks. Make it remove Windows Media Player. Windows Media Player is actually a dependency for some programs. It's kind of funky. You wouldn't think it would be. I think the media platform for Red Dead Redemption 2 is specifically geared towards Media Player Foundation. Some games, you got to be careful what you remove from Windows because it'll just cause programs that you wouldn't even think would be related to mess up. A good example of things really, really messing up is Windows Firewall. That's a common one many people want to just rip out, right? Never disable the Windows Firewall service, as there's so many dependencies to the Windows Firewall service. A good example of this is the entire Microsoft Office suite. Everything in Microsoft Office is reliant on Windows Firewall. You're going to start getting weird errors all over the place when you disable Windows Firewall and you go to just launch Outlook per se. It's crazy. So be careful when you're ripping stuff out in Windows. The fallout of certain things and some of the dependencies that you would never imagine would be a dependency really are. Windows Media Player is one I kind of leave alone specifically for that purpose. One, it doesn't really bloat your system too much. That's why I kind of leave it out. But two, you'd be shocked what actually does depend on it. Yeah, all the Xbox stuff can be real dicey too, as far as dependencies. Windows Store, Xbox, and if you're going to remove all that stuff, by all means, go for it. But just you might as well remove it all. You're not going to be using any Microsoft logins. You're not going to be using a lot of those different ones as well. So be careful with it. Oh, I should. That's a great idea, Josh. Do you have any critical Windows dependency videos in the works? I should probably make a video of common dependencies of things people remove and then the crap that happens as a result. I know I've been the cause of that in many instances. Yeah, and Microsoft will probably never be fully open source, and that's just how it is. How do you make your windows move like that? You can do. I did a video over power toys, so if you really want to separate everything out, check out this fancy zones. You can do all kinds of stuff with fancy zones, which is kind of cool. So right now I have two monitors actually. Um, and you can change all your layouts, the grids. It's almost like tiling window managers for Linux, kind of brought into Windows. Right now, I'm not using them, but it's a fun one. If you're using multiple monitors, I highly recommend it. Getting back to this media player function, it does enable this optional feature. I could remove that. You know what? I think we'll just modify that out because Windows Media Player will actually auto install for folks if you run into it as a dependency. I'm not going to disable it, but I'm not going to enable it either. We can go ahead and change that setting. Network tweaks. This is where I did IRP stack size. There was another one I wanted to do, which, if I look, I think it was on my desktop. You know what? I just got too many windows. We're just going to pull up this. Go desktop. I believe we have this. So here's a really interesting one. I kind of did some research on this, which IRP stack size right here, but here's one that was kind of cool. This is services host, which is a interesting one. The split threshold in kilobytes is basically how Windows works is you let me just pull up task manager. It's probably easier to just show it. When we go into here, if you do this on any Windows install, you'll notice all these svc hosts.exes. These are really just, there's tons and tons of them. Most instances, Windows probably has about double this, and you can actually modify when these workers spawn. And that just means how many of these processes are going to get run. And if you want to see what's inside each one of these processes, I did a video, I think, over process exploring. You can use sys and look at each one. But this specific one is going to change the threshold in which these spawn. And I wanted to change that. And we're going to make that part of the Windows tweak kit as well. And I think somebody sent this to me in an email as well. So it's a really good tweak. Many of the other tweaks I've noticed do it as well. And we're just going to move that over. And we're going to change this to be a new tweak. This is going to be svc host tweak. And this should reduce your overall memory footprint, because right now I think my memory footprint's pretty high. About 6 gigs out of 16 gigs. A lot of people just throw more memory at Windows, and that's just not a solution. So we're going to change this and make this actual property. We're going to just set this property up. And we're going to make this. To get this kind of reg file, you can actually do the modification, test it out, and then export it from your registry. That's how you get something like this. And then we just simply take, what is it? It's local machine. So HKLM means H key local machine. And then it's going to be system. And then it's going to be going under the control set. So we're going to actually change this out. And we're going to just change that to reflect that portion. The actual key is going to be this kilobyte. And we'll run it all after we're done here. So we're not just going to do a blanket commit and then brick a whole bunch of computers. That would not be good. And then D-word 40,000. SVC host, I think. Oop. That should do it. The other debloater messed things up. Okay, Mohammed. I'll take a look at that. How would you describe your channel in 4 sentences? I don't know if I need 4 sentences. Basically, all I try and do is take my knowledge, put it out there so other people can absorb it, and then better their skills. So they can go out and get a better job, to be able to do more things with technology. That's really all I try and do with my channel. So it's more of just taking some of my knowledge, putting it down into video format. I gotta say, I gotta work on some of my presentation skills. Sometimes I don't do a good job of breaking down a complex subject, as I'm not the best explainer. I mainly just did this YouTube thing as kind of a goof, and then it just took off, and I was like, all right, this is cool. But I still have a lot of work to do as far as presenting complex subjects in a simplistic way so you can absorb the knowledge. But that's really all I'm trying to do, is take my knowledge and put it in video format so people can better their lives, or just better their skill set. Add to their skill set. Sometimes I make off the wall videos. Like, I think tomorrow's video is going to be a little more personal than I've ever done on the channel. But for the most part, I kind of stick to that. I don't like to repeat myself a lot either. So I know a lot of folks do, and I'm just not all about that. But with it, I think the big thing when you get on here is just always look at what you can do better. And that's what I try and do. Oh, can I make a public ISO? So I actually looked at making different ISOs when it comes to Windows, but the problem is of the legal ramifications. And if you're really curious about what not to do with Windows, is oh, the guy that went to jail for refurbished ISOs. There's a guy. Yeah. This is a good one. Oh, it's a Vice one. Let's see if I can't find the YouTube link. I don't want to send people to Facebook. That's crazy. That was the video, though. It was a Vice video. He was sent to prison for that, but yeah, this guy, all he did was just refurbish a bunch of computers and then copy an existing restore CD for that computer and distribute it with the refurbished computer that was going to be garbage. And Microsoft sued him, and he actually went to prison for it. So here's the link to that. It was a Vice video. It was wild. It was wild. So yeah, Microsoft's pretty evil, man. Everyone's always like, they're changing their ways. I'm like, nah, man. Microsoft's always gonna be and they're always gonna be that evil corporation. They're just not on top right now. Well, I mean, kind of they are. They're definitely part of the big five. All right. The SVC split host threshold. Let's see. I think I'm not sure on this value. I think my value might be wrong. Let's Google this just to make sure we're gonna be setting this properly. I'd hate to set the wrong value and brick my machine. That would not be fun. All right, let's see. All right, changing split threshold. This is a write-up on 10forums.com. This is actually a good website. I like a lot of their forums. Increases reliability, increases transparency, so it splits off the process a little bit better, reduces servicing costs, and increases security, so it isolates more of the nested processes inside these. And technically, you should do this, especially if you're low on memory. I have 16 gigs, which I consider a lot, but to some, 16 gigs is nothing. But there's still some people running like 4 gigs of RAM, and they're saying, hey, this tweak really helps those. So most people say 380,000. I think I have it set to about 400,000. Let's double check that real fast. And what is that? 400,000. That should be good. The default and recommended behavior is 3,800,000. All right, changing that. Oh, here's a nice little formula. All right. So here's a question for everybody. The optimal value should be somewhere in the range. I'm going to set to 4 gigs, but you might tweak this value a little bit more. Like 16 gigs, you might tweak this all the way up to this much. That's a really interesting. I'm gonna actually link this in chat as well, because this is a really good article. I like it. I think we're gonna go with this value with 4 gigs. We'll play it safe. I think pretty much everybody running this is gonna have at least 4 gigs. Because this is roughly, yeah, 4 gigs as far as the SBC host tweak. But the default value is 3,800,000, or yeah, 380,000. No, this toolbox you can run on any Windows 10 ISO. So the whole point of it is to make it to where you can just run this, do your thing, and then move back. I do have like a restore portion as well, which we're going to write, and we can actually change some of these back to defaults as well. But right now I'm just kind of figuring out exactly the best tweaks to do. And there's a couple other scripts I wanted to show as well. I think the Sophia script is one, which I'm going to run. Farang 2. I covered this a long time ago on the channel, but he's slowly done more and more of this and built this out a bit more. And he makes the scripts a little more specialized to each version. So it's a pretty good script. Let's just run it and see what we got. Because I'm on 2004. So let's see here. Minor UI changes. I don't know about the tick boxes. That's an interesting way of going about doing it. I'll probably do a little more research before just running that blatantly on the screen without that. But it's one I've used before, but these changed it quite a bit over the years. So if you're really looking for a lot of customization with the script, I would probably recommend Sophia script as well. But with mine, I'm just kind of doing my own thing here and thinking of the things that I would like to change with each version of Windows I touch. Yeah, Windows Defender Disabler, we actually had to remove from the low security option just because it's being flagged as a virus for so many different antiviruses. I get emails probably at least a couple a week of people saying, hey, McAfee or something like that. Please don't use McAfee either. McAfee and Norton are viruses in themselves. You're better off just wiping those off your computer and using the built-in Windows Defender, if that's where you want to go with that. Me personally, if you're going to pay for an antivirus, I recommend ESET. That's linked down below. But by all means, if you're not going to pay for an antivirus, just stick with Windows Defender. I can't say enough bad things about free antivirus. If you're going to stick with free antivirus, just stay with the one Windows gives you. That's all I want to say on that subject. I probably should make a video about it again. I think I touched on it a while back, but it deserves reiterating because I see so many people with like Avast or AVG. What's another terrible free antivirus? I think we can all just give horror story. Any IT person can give a horror story of terrible free antivirus. What do we got? McAfee, Norton. I really hate Avast, AVG. I mean, I'm really kind of messing up my channel sponsorships here in the future, but I'm sorry. I would never let them be sponsors anyway because they suck that bad. You can't even pay me to talk about them. But it's just the truth. I think anybody that's dealt with them. Bitdefender, I do like. I do like Bitdefender. I haven't said anything like that. Oh, Zone Alarm, man, that's from like 10 years ago. I remember them as a what was it, firewall back in the Windows 7 Vista days. Yeah, I like ESET. But yeah, there's not very much. There's not too much. I still like WebRoot. It's pretty minimal. They haven't done a lot with it, but a lot of people skewered me for that video. That's why I haven't really messed around or made a video about it again, just because hey, use what works best for you. For me, WebRoot's always done good by me. I've liked them as an antivirus, but it's not for everybody. But again, I take a more minimal approach to my antivirus. I want an antivirus that doesn't bother me, that's not constantly nagging me, not taking up system resources. Those are the things I'm more precious about. So that's why I really don't like talking about antivirus. And also, a good antivirus today does not mean a good antivirus tomorrow. I can't tell you how many times I've had a good antivirus. Like I remember Symantec, which is a Norton offshoot from business. 20 years ago, it was a great antivirus. It was a great business antivirus, and then it just got bloated to crap. Oh man, it was great. And then once upon a time, I liked Trend Micro back in the day, but it turned into a crap antivirus too. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm gonna leave that. So, antivirus is just kind of a weird thing. And it's almost like the origins of antivirus too. Fun little offshoot here. The first antivirus was made by the person that made the first virus. So there's kind of some shady things with viruses and antivirus to begin with. From I think it was like the 80s that happened, or maybe no, it was maybe in the 90s. Viruses really didn't come real mainstream until like the mid 90s. If anybody remembers the I love you virus, I remember that's where I started to repair computers, was in the 90s with that virus. It really infected a lot of computers. And it came through old email. Gotta love it. Hitman Pro. I like Hitman Pro. I've used it. It's not bad. Malwarebytes, not bad. I like Malwarebytes just as a scan, and then I always remove Malwarebytes after. I don't like keeping Malwarebytes on my system. Yeah, so it's really... Malwarebytes is a good scan, but I never really mess with it past that. I want to give Elementary OS a try. You should, man. Anybody getting into Linux, I just did a video about Raspberry Pi, but it's a great break-in. So if you're kind of like, I don't know if I can make that as my daily driver, instead of wiping out your system, get like a little Pi. They're about 40 or 50 bucks. Actually, so here's my next project. I'm going to just go chat here. Where's my chat? Did I fix that? I fixed it. All right, cool. So here's my little next project. Oh, other side. So I hate Fire Sticks, right? I made a video about how much I hate Fire Sticks. And I stand by that statement. Amazon Fire Sticks are the worst. Only second to Chromecast. Chromecast suck even worse than the Fire Stick. And I wanted to make my own home theater PC with like a little nano thing. And the problem with the Raspberry Pis is the GPU on them is kind of crappy. And that's why I wanted to get something like this. The Jetson Nano, I think, is about 60 to 80 bucks. But it's made by NVIDIA. It should have some really good GPU acceleration on it. And I want to make my own home theater built-in thing. And that's a future video that I'm going to work on. but it's something that I think a lot of people really enjoy because it's just a cool little project because who doesn't want their own thing there? Yeah, I do need to do a design change for the toolbox blank. That's a good point. Plex, but yeah, Plex, pulling up just different apps and stuff in your system. You can install all that separate. It should be fine. Oh, $1,000 in Turkey. Dang, the 4 gig. That's rough, man. But yeah, Fire Sticks are garbage. Nvidia the evil. I mean, who isn't evil in the tech space these days, though? There's very few good companies. And if they're not already evil, just give it time. Wait till they get big enough. But I love the little startups here and there. What do you think about ClamAV? ClamAV is a good free antivirus if you're doing Linux. I usually throw ClamAV on a lot of NASs and things like that to just scan network stuff. But it's good. Roku is probably my favorite of all the commercial devices. I know a lot of people don't like Roku, and they're really starting to kind of get too big for their britches. It's one of those same things, like they were really good in the beginning, and they're slowly going the way of how most of them go. And that's kind of where I'm like, all right, well, let's just build our own. So that's what I'm going to do. NVIDIA Shield. I've tried that tech. I didn't have a great experience with my Shield. It was like $200, and I got the little Shield stick or whatever it is, and it was neat. I like the remote a little bit, but at the end of the day, I thought it was a little too pricey for what I got, and I was like, I figured I'd just build my own. The malicious software tool, yeah, it's commonly referred to as MSRT in all their Microsoft documentation. It's good. I'm glad it's there, but it doesn't need to be as intrusive as it is. What phone do you have and why? Right now, I have a Google Pixel because it's the most functional. I can flash it. It has an open bootloader and it's relatively cheap. Specifically, I'm super cheap with all my stuff. This is the Google Pixel. Um, I use the Google Pixel 4a. I don't like how many people basically take out a car loan to pay for a phone. So I have the 4A is a 4G phone that's $300 cash. That's it. You pay $300, you have it. It has an unlocked bootloader. You can flash it with whatever you want. It's still Google. It's not the perfect solution here by any means, but it's a hell of a lot better than Samsung phones that you're taking out $1,000 loan and then paying $20 a month for the next 3 years or whatever it is. Same with iPhones. iPhones are $1,200, $1,300, and that's just is too much money for a phone. So that's why I do the 4A, and it's good specs. It's very low priced in the $300 range, and it's a solid performer, and I can tweak it, and I can actually change out a lot of things. If I want to put lineage on there, I can. If I want to do, I think I did a video not too long ago about Graphene OS. If you're really more about security and privacy, check out Graphene OS with more of a Pixel 3, I think is what it really likes right now. So you can get like a refurb Pixel 3 for probably a couple $100 and do Graphene OS if you're really more security and privacy oriented or conscious of that and don't want to get out of the Google ecosystem. Obviously, I'm kind of stuck in the Google ecosystem. However, I do still have that Volophone right here, which I haven't done a video on because life. I will eventually do it though. Yeah, for the mobile Linux OS for like the Volophone, I have Ubuntu Touch on there, and it's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. Really like it. How do I keep myself focused on learning? I started to learn JavaScript, but I'm distracted by so many things. First, random content, that's a great question. I run into that problem myself. Social media is the devil. It really is. And it can be really good. Like, don't get me wrong. YouTube, you can learn a lot of stuff on it. There's a lot of great content. I try to make my content on YouTube informative and educational, kind of, and try and get something to where you can learn something new. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on that. And I would say disable notifications on your phone. You have a phone, and every time it dings, it's taking away from your distraction. Disable all notifications. Don't ring the bell. You know? Yeah, don't ring that bell on any YouTube channel. Just disable all YouTube notifications. You can watch my content when you have time. That's where I'm at. So yeah, that's probably something I shouldn't say. That's like a really terrible call to action, but I don't care. Whatever, man. I want people to have better lives. Disabling the notification is the right thing to do. Yeah, actually read books, learn about stuff. But it's a lot harder. It's very easy to get distracted. Like I said, I'm no perfect angel in this regard. I get distracted all the time. It's very easy for me to jump on YouTube and I'm like, "Oh, I need to check out ranking or search terms for this type of thing, see how I can SEO optimize," because so many YouTube folks try to focus on viral videos and those types of appeasing the algorithm. But really, I treat YouTube more for the search engine aspect of things where I can create content that people will search for in the future. And then I don't have to worry about virality or any of that business. And, anyways, so I'll go search and figure out what good search terms are using by using Google, YouTube, and or just YouTube. A lot of times I'll get messed up because I'll get on there and I'll be like, "Oh, that's a good video." Like right now, I'm addicted to this guy from Austin, Texas. He bought a ghost town out in like Cerro Gordo, California, and I'm just riveted by his videos, and I'll just waste like an hour. It's terrible, but dang, is it entertaining as hell. He's crazy. He's crazy. Brent from Ghost, I think he's Ghost Town Living or something. Anyways, there's tons of time wasters on YouTube. So when you have time to kill, sure, do that. But for the most part, disable those notifications, get off social media, and then you should be able to do it. I have a LinkedIn. I don't do a very good job of checking it. And I really should do a better job, but I checked it the last time and I had like 200 messages, and I'm just terrible with messages. I was just like, I can't do it. Oh man, I remember Spydot Search and Destroy. Spybot was like the OG. I remember they had like an immunize function that just added a whole bunch of different sites into your host file. I don't know how relevant Spybot is these days. I do remember it though. Oh man. It's great though. It's great. Does installing themes on Windows or just changing icons slow your PC performance significantly? I would say no. I usually am changing my background quite often, and I really don't have too many problems. Biomed Osmosis hardware. I don't know anything about biomed osmosis. Biotech is a really interesting thing that's kind of coming out. A lot of people talk about it, but it's like the Wild West right now. And it's really nice to kind of see it get a lot more eyeballs with all the virus from the last year and all that stuff going on, the old COVID. But yeah, uh, I don't know anything about it, so no, I really can't help with that. Rumors said the next Win 10 update will include Linux apps. Is that true? Well, Alexandro, Alejandro, sorry, drawn a blank. I would say no, not really. Right now, you can install Linux apps on there, so it's probably not going to include them by default, but it will. You can always add your Linux apps to your Windows install, and that's true in pretty much 2004 and past. I use it all the time. So don't think that it's like, hey, a whole bunch of Linux apps going to be everywhere. But yeah, no, that's it. What are you if you are not a programmer? I'm a sysadmin, so I'm not much of a programmer. I'm hacking around on this script, but I just kind of know the things I need to do. So a lot of times I'm just instituting that. I have rudimentary knowledge of PowerShell scripting. I took 3 or 4 years of C++ back in the 90s. So I was real young and I did not retain much of that knowledge. So I'm nothing. I understand a lot of top down programming. I understand the basis of many scripts, but there's far more gifted people than me when it comes to programming. So a lot of times when I'm making something like this, a lot of it's more of a learning experience for me as well. How often do you read your emails? Twice a day usually. It depends on the email, but I usually wake up, hit my email once. I have about 3 different boxes I need to check. So I'll flip through each one, kind of flip through at that, and then at the end of the day, I'll check it again. But I don't check my email throughout the day. And if it's a really long worded email, I might glance it or peruse the video or the email, and then I'll just move to the next. If it's too long, I just won't have time. Because I give myself about 15 minutes for email viewing in the morning and then at night. But then I don't have any email notifications. I don't check my email. I figure if something blows up somewhere that I'm in charge of, they're gonna call me. So then that's what I tell everyone. I'm like, hey, if you really need to get in touch with me, call me. And then usually it'll pop in my phone. But if you're not in my address book, it just immediately goes to spam filtering. So I can be a very difficult person to get a hold of. And that's kind of by design. Trust me, I've been in that place where you were just at the notifications every back. I just live a much happier life by not having that. Uh, I almost envy the 90s back when no one had cell phones. Why do you prefer Brave or Firefox? Um, I don't know if I think you're splitting hairs whether Brave or Firefox is better for privacy. I don't think either one's like all that great. I think relying on a web browser for your privacy is a flawed concept because most browsers are make the money off of you and your browsing habits. So I don't think any of them are really all that great. I think Brave and Firefox are some of the best browsers, but not for privacy or security reasons. Thoughts on Rust in the Linux kernel? Oh man, I saw that. I don't really have any thoughts on that. Hey, if it helps the kernel team out, by all means, go for it. But no, I'm not familiar enough with Rust or care much about Rust at all. What do you think about Brave browser? I like Brave browser. That's actually what I'm using right now. But I know it's not for everybody. A lot of times the crypto is a big turnoff for folks, and I get that. And the company itself has some, albeit some shady stuff that they've done in the past. If you want privacy in a browser, you make the browser yourself. And there's so much truth to that, Hikari. If here's a privacy-oriented browser, look up Midori. You probably never heard of Midori. It's a good little Linux-based browser. Midori browser. Let me go desktop here. Yeah, here you go. Old Midori. I don't know if it's even in development anymore. Oh, look, let's install it. Let's install Midori. Privacy and anonymous. We respect your privacy. I believe it. Let's do it. All right. Oh, we can do the portable one as well. Brave browser's like, we won't allow you to do it. Oh, that's funny. All right, let's grab the zip file. I'm not a big fan of Tor browser. I'm really not. I mean, the Tor network's neat, but it's reliant on a lot of people being on it to be secure and private. And a lot of the nodes on Tor, I'm just not 100% on. Yeah, Midori is kind of like a cool, like simplistic. It's 65 megs, and obviously it doesn't have very good backing. I think it's like all crowdfunded. So that means like no one, I mean, crowdfunding is great and all, but I feel so bad for companies that rely 100% on crowdfunding because that just means they don't get enough money to do what they need to do. They're probably running this off like a NAS box in the back room on like a Time Warner connection or something. Poor people here, but they do make a good product. I like Midori. You got to learn how browsers works. From there, you can learn how to make your own browser. Yeah, I mean, there's the best thing I can say, and I'll lean back to like Edward Snowden for this one. and lean on his expertise in privacy and security because he's obviously much more knowledgeable than me. And his recommended thing was Cubes OS because of the compartmentalization of cubes. Whenever you have your computer doing more than one thing, there's a lot of crosstalk there, a lot of advertisements and those types of things. Those sites will talk to each other. And short of engineering your own browser that blocks all that stuff, which means the web wouldn't really even work for you, compartmentalization is the next best thing. So that's where, you can use whatever browser you want, but compartmentalizing it in its own virtual machine is really the only way to have any kind of security or privacy. Yeah, I mean, there's 8-bit, there's still a lot of crosstalk between browsers, though. Many browsers will look at other cookies and they'll look at what you're doing on that other browser. I mean, it's not a foolproof plan, albeit it's probably a better plan than it all be just using one browser. All right, let's take a peek at this. I've never run Midori in Windows. I've only done it in Linux. So this is a new experience for me. Midori exe. I mean, that's kind of simple. Let's go to google.com. Google wants to know your location. They know where I'm at. Oh, that's funny. All right. I mean, it's very simple. I mean, what are the extensions does it have? Oh no, is Midori based on Chromium now? Oh, never mind. Oh no. Wait. Well, this is Midori, but it looks like it's now Chromium based. Why did it? Let's see. Let's go settings. Yeah, that's fine. Or Midori settings. I feel like this is Chromium though. This feels very Chromium-esque. Maybe it's a stripped down Chromium? All right. Anyways. I, I, Anytime I see extensions and it redirects me to Chrome Store, I'm like, oh no. Yeah, that's totally, yeah, so Midori used to be non-Chromium, but now it's Chromium. Well, just use Brave then. I mean, I mean, maybe, I mean, it's still stripped down. I'm gonna still recommend Midori. I like them. Quipzilla. Well, that's different. Another lightweight open source web browser. Reconnoc. Gnome Web. Okay. Epiphany. Yeah. I think, what was it? Who used Epiphany for a while? Who loves GNOME? I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Gardner. Gardner Bryant. Yeah, he uses it. The Linux Gamer. Or I don't know if he doesn't go by that anymore, but I know he used Epiphany for a while. I mean, I hate GNOME, so Midori gets my vote out of all these. That's my jam. When I'm not using my Brave. So, to what it's worth. No, okay. Well, I get why they gave up on that. We need Netscape to save us from this hell. I agree. Oh, the nostalgia of Netscape just alone, just you saying Netscape kind of brings a smile to my face. Thank you so much for the super chat, by the way, Donovan. Yeah, so Chromium's based from Google. Yes, it's open source, but there's so many, like millions of lines of code now in Chromium that can anybody really ensure, hey, this isn't getting reported to Google, or this is, that's where we kind of go wrong. Just use Temple OS. No worries of privacy issues. You aren't wrong. You aren't wrong there, excuse me. Isn't Mozilla Netscape? No. It's two different companies, actually. Yeah, Netscape, I think one of the developers of Netscape went and made Mozilla Firefox. So it was like that. I used to use Vivaldi for a little bit, but it kind of got a little buggy and slow. And lately, most updates of Chromium, I've noticed a lot of slow load. Like if I leave it up for a while, sometimes it'll lock up on me. So, I mean, there's no real good browser out there. I mean, you're using Chrome or Firefox. That's what we have. I mean, that's I wish I could tell you something different, but in reality, that's the two options. What about Edge? Edge is just Chromium that has Microsoft in it. So you're now reporting to Google and Microsoft. I mean, you just can't win. We just can't win here, guys. Opera, yeah, Opera browser. Those are the guys that were selling the shady 30 something percent APR credit cards through their mobile app. So a real reputable company, I tell you what. Yeah, I tell you. Oh, I wish it was different. Wish it was different. Please make an updated video on OpenSUSE. Oh yeah, OpenSUSE. Yeah. It's been a while. I probably need to revisit it. I kind of got burnt out on a lot of the Linux distros where I was just like, forget it. I'm just gonna use Arch. And that's kind of where I'm at. I do use still Debian. I mean, inside I'm using Debian. I love Fedora. Fedora is fine. If you don't mind Red Hat. Yeah, like I said, guys, the whole thing to all this is it just needs to get bigger. And then once something hits critical mass or gets big enough in the tech world, they they turn into, I always think of that Star Wars quote. You were supposed to be the chosen one, and when he's talking about Anakin betraying him. And that's almost every single tech company. They're great when they first start out and they're small, and then they grow and grow and get bigger and bigger, and then all of a sudden they go to the dark side. Thanks so much for the super chat, Stormy. Much appreciated, man. Did you buy the dip? I did not. I did not. I was sitting on my dollars. I want to see, like, with Bitcoin, it's always interesting because you have these 30% swings. I'm waiting for something a little bigger. I'm waiting for more of a 50 to 80% buy. So how I do dollar cost averaging in that regard, I will put buy orders or limit orders in at certain price markets. So right now I'm like out of my investment in crypto, I have about 50% in stable coins, which is just US dollars, and then like half, actually a little less than half in Bitcoin. I really hate Bitcoin. If you guys hadn't figured out, I am a Bitcoin bear. I will sell Bitcoin the first chance I get. And then Ethereum, a lot bigger position in Ethereum. But I put in sell orders and buy orders. So when things hit all-time highs, I'm usually selling. And when things kind of really crash, usually greater than 50% crash, I'll start buying then. But I don't even know if we're going to see a 50% crash this year. Might be next year. Who knows? Go to your local fortune teller, figure that out, because no one knows. Thoughts on Titus coin? I thought about it. If I did it, I would just make a live stream, launch the coin, have like a couple mining rigs going to just farm out a whole bunch of it, and then just distribute it out and just give it all away to the viewers. I think that'd be cool. Any good VPN? VPNs, again, VPNs are not for privacy or security. All a VPN's doing is basically saying, hey, instead of showing my IP, you're showing IP from another traffic. It's just adding a hop, encrypted hop, saying, hey, I'm coming from this other spot. That's all it's doing. Yes, that gives you a little bit of security, but nothing like you'd think. How you're tracked and all that, it usually doesn't even rely on your IP and where your traffic's coming from. So that's why I don't say it's for security or privacy. However, hey, UK, Canada, Australia, I love your guys' Netflix subscription. I mean, that's a real use case for your VPN. And that's why I use ExpressVPN. Links in the description. You get 3 months free. That's a great plug. But yeah, that's really the practical use, is just basically changing your geographic location to where you can get stuff. And why that matters is like Netflix here in the States compared to Canada or UK, you guys got some cool stuff that we don't get access to, and vice versa. So you get a little bit of that. So you can change your geographic location with VPN. But no VPN's great. There's no VPN that I'm like, oh, here you go. This is the one. Uh, yeah, VPN tier list. I mean, there's some that are pretty terrible, but that's most of your free VPNs that are doing more spying than good. Using a free VPN is just a terrible idea because that person is free. There's this saying: if it's free, you're the product. Okay, so you're routing all your traffic through a location. So the worst case that you can do is do a free VPN because all your traffic's going to be tracked and monetized. And if it's not, that means they're probably stealing your information. All this is just really, really bad. So free VPNs, a good way to make yourself really unsecure. So that's a terrible thing. You have your paid for VPNs, which there's some out there that are just terrible, not for like security privacy reasons, mainly for speed reasons. I usually judge most of my VPNs by how fast they are. ExpressVPN has a ton of servers. They're relatively fast. I usually get about 6 megs down, which is enough to do high def video, which is really what I care about. And that's why I recommend them. But I mean, there's Molvad VPN, Proton VPN. I like both of those. I mean, they tout themselves as security and privacy oriented, but you know, you can do your own VPN. I did a video on that. Here, I'll link that. I'd say set up your own. Get like a VPS. You can use Google Cloud, AWS, Linode, whatever you want to do. Let me see. I'll link it. It's been a while. I can't remember. When did I make the VPN video? Set up your own VPN. That would have been, oh wow, September 2019. Dude, your own VPN. Yeah, that was all the way back from 2 years ago. That was like within my first year on YouTube. Would you do another 10-day challenge with OpenSUSE? Yeah, so like a lot of those 10-day challenge from Linux and those types of things back in the day, almost all that, guys, was just me learning desktop Linux. Like a lot of people don't realize I was more for the system admin side of things, where I knew Linux servers very well and I could get around, set up things. I was using Linux servers for obviously LAMP stacks, or I had Nagios set up, which is a great, or Nagios, it depends on your pronunciation. Great free monitoring tool where I was monitoring, hundreds of different servers and workstations and different line of business applications and those types of things. But for the most part, I really didn't use Linux as a desktop until I started YouTube. And then I was like, hey, I know Linux server. How different is Linux desktop? And it's like its own deal. But a lot of those challenges was me kind of figuring out, hey, what's this about? What's this certain distribution? And really figuring out a lot of the ins and outs of the Linux desktop community, which is a pretty big rabbit hole to go down. But revisiting them, and it's not really a challenge anymore because I understand how all these distributions function and work, and each one and their shortcomings, and I can use any of them fairly easily. So it's not much of a challenge, and if I could do it and teach people something, I would totally do it. Do you ever think Linux will be great for gaming? No. I don't think it'll ever get there. I know that's a terrible thing to say, but it's something that I've come to the realization that most things when it comes to the Linux thing, you have something that's closed source, locked behind a paywall. It's just never going to play nice with the open source community. And there's always going to be a gotcha. That said, it's not to say you can't have a good time and a good experience gaming on Linux. It's just, it's never going to have 100% compatibility. There's always going to be that company that's wants their money and they really just hate open source, don't like a lot of the nature of Linux as a whole, which I get. Why do you use Windows to stream? Is Linux not enough? I use a lot of Elgato stuff. So I use the Stream Deck, a lot of different things, to where it's just it's a better experience in Windows. So that's why I do that. I still have, like, heck, back here. This was a little fun. I think this was our last live stream where I set up a Raspberry Pi. This is X Screensaver using Arch on a Raspberry Pi. That was a fun little deal, but that's the Gibson from the movie Hackers. You can kind of see it. It's kind of blown out, but I'll probably change that coming up. But there's a lot of fun things about Linux, and I still use Linux a lot for my productivity, as I don't like living in Windows. As if you're just doing basic web browsing, documents like business documents or office documents, Linux is fantastic for that. And I love how clean everything is. Like, whenever I go to, like, Linux or Mac, it feels like I'm giving up a portion. Well, it's not to feel like it. I'm giving up a portion of my system. Meaning, I know about half my system's just going to get thrown in the trash when I go boot into Windows or Mac. Well, I mean, Mac systems are not as bad as Windows, but I just know a lot of that I'm just going to lose in performance. And Linux gives you that ability to just lock it all in, man. You know? So that's what I love about Linux. But as far as gaming goes, or streaming, or using certain proprietary peripherals, it's not the best experience. So there's pros and cons to everything. There's a pros and cons to Windows, pros and cons to Mac, pros and cons to Linux. I love each operating system for what it does well. Windows, gaming. Windows is great for gaming because every game's made for Windows. Mac, video production. Mac does a great job with their video production. You boot up Final Cut Pro, it's so simple a monkey could do it. I literally can just throw that up, edit my videos, and if I want to do some kind of special effect, I can just download like a little title, drop it on the timeline, and it just automatically does it all. That's amazing. I hate Mac for most of the other locked-in stuff, but I can't deny, for the creative space, Mac has a reason why it's on top for creatives. And then Linux, where you have all your productivity. You get to make and have everything in that system that you want in that system. You get to customize it. It is a nerd's dream, which I'm a big nerd, so it's literally my dream operating system. It's so much fun. So each one has its flavor. I love each one for what it does well, and yeah, I'm not afraid to say anything other than that. That's just how it is. Can you have both in virtual machines? Yes, you can. Parallax. That's actually a really good idea. I thought about doing a full-blown all-in-one machine using virtual machines for PCI pass-through in both Windows and Linux. And the ultimate PCI pass-through machine would be your AMD Threadripper. Get that. You have all these PCI bus lanes. I would get 3 graphics cards. This is obviously a dream world because there's no way you're getting 3 graphics cards today. But let's say you could get those 3 graphics cards, put all those in. One would be for Linux, one would be for Mac, and one would be for Windows. And then on boot up, it would launch all these different virtual machines in a tiling window manager and be dedicated to certain workspaces. So then you can just tab right over to that workspace. Boom, you're in Windows. You could play your games, do all that stuff. I think Hikari in chat, he does exactly that. So that's why that's great. So check out Hikari. I think he has an open source thing. Have you updated that lately, Hikari, by the way? He does a VFIO pass through, but you can do all that and just put it all in one box, and you get native performance in Linux, Windows, and Mac, which is great. Yeah. I'm not making it. I still do too much tinkering to make it really that viable, as I'm always breaking stuff. You guys know that. That's why I have the 3 computers. I don't even do a KVM either. You can use Barrier or Synergy. If you want to pay for it, Synergy. I think I have Synergy right now, but Barrier works pretty good too. I forget why I switched from Barrier to Synergy, but I did, and both work pretty good though. Barrier's free. Do you watch Network Chuck? Yeah, I've caught Network Chuck good. He does a really good job. I love his presentation, and I think Network Chuck actually came from his main day job before he switched to YouTube was he presented. I think he did a lot of courses for people, so he came actually from a teaching environment. So he does amazing content as far as teaching folks new skills, those types of things. Network Chuck's awesome. Can you show us your Vim RC? Yeah, I think I actually have it on GitHub. Let me go desktop here. Let's pull up old Vim RC. Oh, actually, I think let's go. Nope. And here's my Vim. What is in here? It's been a little bit. Yeah, here's my Vim RC though. I love Vim. It takes a little bit to get used to. If you're gonna get into terminal editing, you got Nano and Vim. Vim's amazing. It took me a while. I think it was like Peter or someone that's been in the channel forever, but they finally hounded me to get on Vim, and I think I started using Vim about 6 months ago or so. I did it on a live stream because I got tired of saying okay, but you can load up any Linux box. Which here, let's boot into Linux real fast, and I'll come back, and we'll actually. Oh wait, you know what? Before we do this, let's let's commit this real fast. I did that SVC host error, so I'm curious to see if that does a backup. I should have checked if my backups are good too. Oops. When was the last backup I did? The 26th at 8 a.m. Okay, cool. So if I blow up my computer, I can just restore. Yeah, a lot of the customization, Gorg. That's why I kind of showed the Sophia script a little bit today, because they give you every bit of customization that you possibly could want with the script. I wanted my script to just kind of be like an all-in-one, just click it and go. That's why I kind of made it that way. I added a SVC host, some networking changes with the toolbox. I also removed disabling Windows Defender as a low option, mainly because it was flagging some virus scanners, and that was causing some issues. So that's why. That's why I did that. All right. That's done. Let's close this out. Yeah, I added this SVC host option split, and then we did that. As far as this goes, I'll wait to do the commit. We also disabled enabling Windows Media Player. We removed Windows Defender and software, or the MSRT, so that would actually be enabled now. We'll not do the commit yet. And I'm going to just close that guy out. Old good sync. I'm working on a sync tool because I have about 1 million different files, and some of the residential file syncing is not great, so I've been testing out good sync. I'll probably make a video about that soon. BSP, WM, or KDE Plasma. Ooh, those are so different that it's hard to say. I love KDE Plasma for the simplicity and like the Windows-esque style, but BSP WM is still, it could be really good for those that want to learn it. But I would choose KDE for everybody. I'm still a KDE guy. I love KDE. It's just my favorite desktop environment, hands down. I mean, you really just can't beat KDE. What backup do I use? I did a video on how I do my backups, which I will be. I think it's on there. Here, I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up here. Let's go videos. I'll put how I make my backups for those that care. That wasn't that long ago. I could have probably done a better job. I've been super lazy with my thumbnails lately. Sorry, all. Let me grab it up here. Get chat going. I'll be able to paste this in. All right, here we go. Boom. How I back up my computers. All right, there we go. All right, I was coming into Linux to show something, but I've XET4 versus XFAT gaming. Ooh, XET4 all the way. XFAT, you're gonna run into some problems. Not a big fan of XFAT. Oh, Vim. Yeah. Most of my Vim stuff. Oh yeah. Let's quit out. So Vim, there's if you go hold shift and press ZQ, or actually let me see it. Do I have screen key on here? Yeah, I have screen key. Okay. Let's do that. So if you go Vim, enter. If you hold shift and press Z, that's save and quit. So two capital Z's, save and quit. If you go into Vim again, let's go ZQ, that's save and don't, or don't save and quit. That's how you exit Vim, people. My job here is done. But really, for those actually want to learn Vim, take Vim tutor. This is actually a tutor, and you go through, and even though it's like a little text document, move the cursor around until you're comfortable, and then you start to learn the different keys, like the J key, the L key, and you can kind of see how all that works. There's each one of these keys, and then you kind of learn how to navigate using Vim. It's so much fun though. I'm still not great with this, but how you who you should watch. There's a guy on here you should watch. Let's see. He's an engineer for Netflix, I think. I don't know if anybody watches him. I think he still does YouTube videos. Let's see. Primeageddon? Does anybody watch Primeageddon? Uh oh, let's see. Primeageddon? Primeagen. Wow, way off. The Primeagen. This guy. Yeah, he does a great Vim as your editor. This is the playlist to do. I'm going to link it in chat. I haven't gone through this yet, but I totally should because it is amazing. Yeah. He's a little bit bombastic, but Prime Gen Vim playlist. But I like the guy. And he's extremely talented with Vim. He's probably the most talented person I have ever seen in Vim. Way better than me. So I'm going to refer to you to his channel to learn Vim. But you should start with Vim Tutor. I will say with my rudimentary knowledge of Vim and some of my basic edits, which I've published to Git, I've loved it. It feels great. It's a great editor. I love, once you learn just some of the basics, it really, why it has such a cult following is because of the customization you get with it. It's great. Vim versus Nano. Nano is just more intuitive. So Nano, just like if you're not gonna do anything, it's great. So that's why I recommend. Uh, you know, Nano. You might see me still do if it's like a real basic high level video. I'll usually try to use Nano just so people, it's so much easier. People just use the arrow keys and then just type stuff in. With Vim, you have different cursor positions, so you have to do like an insert command to insert code. You have certain numbers, like if you press just like X, it's just going to delete the character that's in front of you because you're in placement mode. There's a lot of little nuances to Vim that would freak people out, or do freak people out, I should say. So if it's a more advanced tutorial, I usually will use Vim, but if it's not, I'll usually defer to Nano because it's more noob friendly. And it works. It works. So it just depends on what you got. But I love Vim. Love Vim. And this guy's really solid. Like I said, there's a reason why he's a high level engineer for Netflix, because the guy knows his stuff when it comes to Vim. of shucked externals. No, most of my backups are actually done with, I bought them on, oh, let me see. Oh, I can't pull on my Amazon. It was probably show my address. I can't remember. What did I buy? Oh, well, I am using Synology. QNAP, there's a fun, I think it was, does anybody here know Tom from Lawrence PC Systems? He just released something, I think, on Twitter. Let me see if I can't find it for y'all. And it was something in regards to QNAP. If you guys haven't already, I'm on Twitter. You can always, that's another good way to connect with me is with Twitter. I find that's actually a pretty easy way to do it because I can just open it when I want to talk to folks. And then I'm like, oh, cool. And then I can go through my mentions and that. I don't really do DMs, but hey, it's okay. Let's see if I can't find Tom. Tom Lawrence Tech. And I'm just see. I want to say there was a tweet specifically about QNAP is what I'm looking for. And I think it was either him replying to it or him actually retweeting it. Oh, heck, maybe it's easier for me to just Google it. QNAP hack. Oh, here we go. Unpatched QNAP devices are being hacked to mine cryptocurrency. Oh, crap. Yeah. So right now I'm using Synology. I've been using Synology. Yeah, ooh, I didn't actually read it, but I just saw something from Tom tweeting about it. First off, take your QNAP off of their service. Like if you have it on QNAP Cloud or whatever it is, or My Cloud QNAP, remove it from that. You don't register your QNAP with them because they got hacked. But also, I think there's a vulnerability where people, if you have an external port, obviously don't expose like SSH to the outside world because these are Linux-based systems. Same with Synology, it's Linux-based. So don't expose like SSH to the outside world on it. But yeah, they have some vulnerabilities here, some pretty nasty ones, and people are hacking in, and yikes. Hopefully you don't get hit with a ransomware. Holy crap. Yeah. So regardless, I like QNAP. Don't take that as me knocking on QNAP. I like QNAP. I really like how they do VPNs, but whew, yeah, they need to work on some of their security problems. And right now, obviously, I'm using Synology, but man, you just never know. I don't trust any of the services when it comes to hosting your stuff with a company. Using it for external access or routing it through a company for external access always poses risks, no matter the company. So very important on that. Yeah, probably getting like 0.01 per pennies a day off of a QNAP box. I couldn't imagine using that for mining. That's pretty bad. What's up, Angelo? Do you know of any Windows 10 update tool that can install updates in the correct order? I do not. That's a good question. I've tried a couple different ways, specifically when you're doing a modded version of a Windows install. The one that comes to mind that really matters on the order you install your updates is, I just did a video on it not too long ago. Was it AME, Windows AME, the Miller rated Windows version? You gotta you manually install all your updates, and that can be a pain in the butt. And it does matter on the order. But no, I don't know anything. Yeah, exactly. You need to think bigger. Imagine having thousands of mining pennies a day. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I definitely, if you hack enough people, I guess it works. When is Windows 11 coming out? I don't think it is ever coming out. What crypto are you mining right now? Ethereum mainly. Or Ethereum-based projects, I should say. I lend most of my hash power to a pool that pays me. I don't use Nice Hash. I've always used Mining Pool Hub because I actually get It's more on the open market, where nice hash is a closed market. So it depends. If you actually go, there's a website. If you're anybody's curious about making an extra couple bucks, what to mine, I think. So let's say we'll zero this out. Let's say I think I have about 570s. You can actually type in what graphics cards you have, and it'll show you what's more profitable. So looking at this, and let me zoom in a little bit. Zoom in a little bit. You can kind of see what the profitability is on 570s. Right now, the current profit per day is about 645, which I don't think that's right. Maybe? Did the market crash lately? I mean, when I say crash, did it correct 30%? I think mining's been pretty good. I think it was $20 last time I checked. Oh, that's a little off. Okay. So, why is that off? Huh. Let me hook this up so I can just show you what the mining does. This is a baseline, but maybe it's because it's just spiked up a bit, but I'll show you guys in the whole mining rig. Yeah, maybe I can just pull up the IP of the actual worker. Let me see. I don't know if there's a login for this or not. Let's see. Ah, can't remember. Miner stat port. I think it's port 5000. Is that it? Nope. Maybe not. Maybe that isn't where I'm at. I can always hook up my phone and just pull it up. But anyways, yeah, it's showing about 1150 a day right now. Yeah, oh, it did have a 30%. Oh, yeah. Another day, another dime in crypto land. Maybe it'll shake out some of the weak hands. People, the religious zealots that think it's not going to just bomb out after a bit. This was not a Windows 10 stream. I suck you guys in and then go, hey, check out this Linux thing. You're on to me. You're on to me. Oh, well. Oh, well. It's always a fun time, man. Always a fun time. My streams always go off the rails. Is there something like NV Clean install for AMD drivers? That's a great question, Pop. I haven't run into anything just yet, but I'm scouring for something like that. It's a really good question. What do you think Windows 11 will be called? Oh man, I don't think there's ever going to be a Windows 11 Blackworm. I think they're just going to keep patching Windows. If anything, I mean, if it was me and I was in charge of marketing, I would just call it Windows XI. But yeah. Can you still play epic Steam games on Linux? Yeah, for the most part, God, and it just depends on if it has easy anti-cheat or not. And then you can. Yeah, Microsoft has said in an official statement that they were going to be extending Windows 10 forever, meaning there will not be an official next version of Windows. They're just going to keep patching it. What do you think about Unify stuff? Oh, 8-bit. Thank you for asking this question. This is a great but badly misunderstood question, and I would love to voice my opinion. Ubiquity makes fantastic access points. But, and this is a big but, their unified security gateways suck so bad. They are absolutely atrocious. I need to make a video about how bad they are. I absolutely hate the USGs from Ubiquity. But I love their access points. So that's my feelings on Ubiquity. Now you might be saying, what's wrong with their USGs? They don't even have they don't even have OpenVPN. They only have for actual VPN connection to the gateway. It's like L2TP and PPTP, which is like it's like 25 years old at this point. It might be older. I think it might be as old as I am. And I'm like, dude, what are you guys smoking over there? Like, do something. Like, OpenVPN's like 20 years old. Why is that not a feature in a USG? And then on top of that, some of the edits, like doing things in a JSON file to get proper editing done because they're jank. Their janky like web interface they have for their USGs. I literally can just rant on this topic for days on end. So that's the short of it. Their access points, fantastic. USGs, oh my word, I would just go Office Space on one of those in a second in a field with a sledgehammer. I absolutely think they're garbage. So, yes and no. Depends on what you're using it for. I have Ubiquity USGs here, which are I have both USG and then also the access point. I'm about to switch it all out. I'm about to make my own entire gateway. We'll probably go pfSense with that. I love pfSense, by the way, for gateways. Maybe it's just pfSense has spoiled me so much. That's why I'm talking so much smack about the USG. But, oh man. But anyways, I'm going to make that pfSense. I'm going to put some 2.5 gig cards in it and make like a switch / gateway all in pfSense. It's going to be beautiful. I'm going to do a video on it too. I use Cisco for all my networks, but I love... Oh, yeah. Whoa. Whoa. Calm it down there, Stream Elements. What in the world? What about Unify switches? I mean, Unify switches aren't bad per se. It just depends. If you're going to use the Unify switches with like a Dream Machine, with the access points and a cloud key, let's say you're just like a huge Ubiquity guy, that's all my jam. That's totally my jam. But it just depends on what you're doing. So if you're not using all Ubiquity stuff, I don't think the switches are really worth it. But yeah, Cisco's #1 for a reason. Arista switches are also really good. If you like really want like high quality switches and you don't want to pay the Cisco premium, Arista switches, or here, I'll just do Arista Networks, arista.com. They ain't cheap, but if you're really getting into like enterprise stuff, this is pretty cool. TP-Link versus okay. TP-Link is, yeah, just terrible. Oh man, we're getting attacked by like a bot army. Oh, yeah, TP-Link's just, it's the worst of the worst, but it's also the cheapest of everything. I wonder, let me switch chat around real fast here, guys. We're getting kind of bombed by somebody. This happened in Twitch chat too, where someone would just type inappropriate things into chat. It was terrible. 1 second. We can fix this. I love the fact that you can do that. There's still some magic to like bot armings and compating some of the stuff, so I actually enjoy a lot of that. Even when people are being malicious about stuff, there's some magic to shutting something like that down. Oh yeah, D-Link. When did they die? I mean, it's not surprising D-Link died, but I not surprising at all. I hated. I mean, if you ever had a D-Link router, you'd know exactly why. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. All right, let's adjust my spam filter here. And that should. Well, maybe not. What double WAN router would you recommend? I would say make your own with pfSense. pfSense is absolutely amazing. I love I love me some pfSense. There's a lot of people that spend a ton of money with uh dual WAN routers and just I don't like a lot of the marketing. Like you got like the Nighthawk, you got all these other really nice routers, but you can easily um make your own with pfSense. I love pfSense boxes, and if you want to just buy like a pre-configured one, check out Netgate, netgate.com. Fluffy cow, good, doing good, Fluffy, doing really good. Yeah, and pfSense scales really well too. And I actually built. Oh man, what is? Well, I had it. Ah, but you can actually buy your own hardware. I can't remember what it was, but it was a quad core from I did a video about it a long time ago. I think it was when I first started YouTube. But if you want to build your own gateway, I'll show you real fast. I'll link it in chat. I think it's pfSense. And yeah, I was using an APU2 PC Engines, and this was a really cool little video. I did it way back. I've been it's probably not great quality because I've been YouTubing for like 2 or 3 months at this point, so I think the camera quality is probably pretty bad, but it's pretty awesome. That's the PC Engines one. Yeah, the Netgate firewall though, I've bought that as well for my business, and I use that all the time. Netgate does a great job with that. If you don't want to build your own, buy the Netgate ones. They're a little pricey. I think the starter routers are around $400 or $500, but it's well worth it. It's solid equipment. You should switch from VS Code to VS Codium. I'm glad you brought that up, man, because even though my Microsoft Windows is on VS Code, you'll notice something. VS Codium is what I am using for this guy right here. So VS Codium doesn't have the Microsoft telemetry. Great comment. Totally recommend it. It's a great open source tool, so definitely check it out. TP-Link versus D-Link, which is worse? I would say D-Link's worse. D-Link has some of the worst stuff. TP-Link has at least, I mean, it's cheap and it's not great hardware, but at least it works pretty well. Where D-Link, not so much. And let's see here. I'm gonna edit the stream. I gotta figure out something with the bot army. You guys probably are not seeing this, but let's see. I can't really limit it to. Oh, that's a bummer. Can only make channel members send messages, but that'll basically kill chat. I'm like, the spam is more. I know Hikari. Thanks, Hikari and Mitchell. Have you ever? Yeah, TP Link's good in a pinch. I agree with that. If you just need to get something up and going and you only got like $20, it'll get you there. Have you heard the pain of setting up a Zscaler as a corporate proxy? No, I have not done Zscaler. I've done, oh, man, what was it? It was a Cisco product, probably the worst. And I think I did a post on my website, christitus.com. And let me see, it was at Citrix, actually. What was that called? Citrix Zen server. That wasn't it. Sections. I think it would have probably been. It was the worst setup I've ever done, and I had to do. Oh, NetScaler. Yeah, NetScaler. This is a proxy. It's a gateway virtual server controlling all the different things for Citrix farms. Oh my word, man! You talk about a nightmare. NetScaler. This was just terrible. I think someone had when I left my old position, they had a lot of problems with this, and I just wrote basically a guide for them because I think they're having problems interfacing with LDAP, and I went ahead and just said, hey, here's what you need to do with NetScaler. But NetScaler is like so unfriendly. I don't know if Citrix has fixed it at all, but this is like the very early days of NetScaler because they split apart the Citrix farms from the traditional web interface to just doing a new product where you had NetScaler, then you had like your Zen app, Zen desktop, and they had like Director and all these other tie-in products, just milking all these big companies. But I think we were paying like 50 to 100,000 in licensing fees every year just for Citrix stuff. It's fun. I don't miss that at all. Worst problem I have on YouTube is people spamming the channel, which I'm okay with, I guess. It's terrible. Yeah, NetScaler. Kevin knows what I'm talking about. I knew there'd be somebody out there that's like NetScaler's terrible. Anybody that's ever used NetScaler has always been like, oh, PTSD all the way. Please talk about video stream lag on Windows 10. I haven't really run into that. It depends on what card you have, what drivers you're using. There's a lot of different things that can fall into the lag category on Windows. What is the best solution for mesh Wi-Fi in a 3-story house? Mesh Wi-Fi, 3-story house. If you're a techie, I definitely say, hey, set up a virtual machine. Go ahead, load up a whole Ubiquity stack with a bunch of different access points. Hey, that'd be awesome. Where you grab 3 different APs. The APs run about $60 a pop, so you probably spend a couple $100. And then if you already have like I have the Synology box back here, you could throw up a simple Docker container with the cloud key on it, and then just manage all the access points that way, creating a mesh. But that's kind of technical. If you're not technical and you just want something that works, there are a bunch of like little mesh hockey pucks that you can get. I think Google makes one. I've never used it, but I've heard good things where people can just put those 3 pucks in their house and then you just split them up on each floor and you'll be fine. You usually want a central place, but those are pretty good for meshes. Again, it just depends on what you want to do. But I mean, in a hotel, I've set up some hotels before. We usually always just throw up a bunch of Ubiquity access points. Any decent alternatives to Citrix? Arista, I talked about a little bit. Elm. If you're familiar with Citrix and you know the formatting and syntax, Arista's identical. So much so they got sued by Cisco, and I think they had to pay them millions of dollars in damages because they pretty much just ripped off Cisco and then made it cheaper and also better. The hardware is a little bit better than Cisco. So yeah, check out Arista if you're looking for a Cisco alternative. Best video capture card. Glad you asked. All right, you guys, I watch way too much YouTube, and this has been making the rounds, so I went and bought one. The CamLink Pro capture card. You can put 4 inputs in it, and I was gonna make another camera. I was gonna mount it over here, and then I was gonna have a new shot because I'm tired of this shot. And with this room so small, I kind of need to do 2 camera angles. So I grabbed this. It's about 300 something bucks, but 4 inputs. Originally, I was gonna do a Magewell card, but the Magewell card's about $1,000. And everyone on YouTube, I think I was watching Epos Vox and Alpha Gaming and some other folks that were using this, and they said it worked really well. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. I haven't given it a shot because I need to buy a new camera and do all that, and I just haven't had time. But eventually, that's gonna be my choice probably for the best capture card. After I was gonna say Magewell if you would have talked to me about 2 or 3 months ago, but these days, I'm going to switch over to the Elgato here. It seems pretty good. Oh, you want to upgrade your graphics cards. Ooh. A decent upgrade from my RX 570. You got to wait. GFY, man, you got to wait. You got to wait until we get some graphics cards in stock. So it'll be probably, I'm going to say at least 2 to 3 months before we get any cards. Because all the graphics cards are just going to get eaten up by miners. So be praying for a crash in Ethereum or just wait it out. Oh, Citrix alternative. All right. Citrix alternative. Um, yes, there is one. It's real janky. I remember. I don't know how much I trust this, but RDP. I'll turn it to app streaming. Can't remember what it was called, but there was one out there, and it was super janky. But I bought it because a client just needed it and just didn't want to pay any money. I was like, all right, man, I don't know if this will work, but we can go give it a shot. I think this is it. Is it TS Plus? Yeah, that's it. Oh, this is super janky. I don't even know if I want to show this. All right. I'm going to preface this with a disclaimer. I don't know how legit this company is. I don't know how legit the product is, but it works. So that's the gray area. That's the disclaimer for this one. it's something. Paper, thanks for joining the membership, man. Let's see. I'm gonna do a lot more streams too coming up. So we're gonna have a lot of fun. All right, let's see. Let's go. Where are you at? Desktop. TS Plus. Secure remote access. So what happened was I couldn't get let's see. I couldn't get RDP licenses, or RDP licenses for this particular business was challenging, and he didn't want to pay any more money. And the RDP licenses I needed to buy was like $1,000, which isn't much in the business realm, but he was just not having it. I was like, all right, man. So I grabbed this thing, and it worked, but I don't know how much I trust it. And I'm going to see if I can't get, what is the store? TS Plus license. I want to say it was like $40 or $50 or something. So we just needed a remote desktop license. So this would be equivalent to a RDP server or a Citrix server. And I want to say you can just go with like the system edition. Okay, yeah. So you can get the TS Plus license for 3 users for like $90, or you can get 5 users for $150, or 10 users for $250. And why I'm laughing is because just to do like RDP license for this, you'd be well into the thousands of dollars. For something for Citrix, I mean, it's like 10,000 to start with when it comes to Citrix. So you can check this out. Again, I don't know how they're still available. I did this, I want to say about 4 or 5 years ago when I used this product. It was a little janky, but it worked. It got him there. The client was happy. And I never really used it again. I usually just go to the more tried and true solutions. And yeah, that's where I'm going to leave that. It's a little on the shady side. It's like buying a CD key website is kind of the same ethereal that I'm into. About to be demonetized. No, I mean, it's still a legit product. It's just, I'm not going to recommend it. But if you don't have any money and you kind of need an RDP server on the cheap, it gets you there. Oh, open source, but Citrix forced them out on the market. Yeah, Citrix is good about forcing out a lot of the competition. Royal TS at work. Oh, okay, that's a good one, 8-bit. I've never heard of Royal TS. Linux Fuzz. You know, I'm looking forward to, speaking of XRDP, free RDP's really starting to get there, so we'll see. We'll see where it gets there. Yeah, Elm, it has to be dodgy, right? Because Citrix, if you're not familiar with like the background, why all of us system admins are like kind of hesitant to look at a solution like this at such a cheap price, it's because Microsoft has all these really expensive RDP licenses. So if they use any of the RDP protocols or anything like that, they're going to get sued to oblivion. Citrix, same thing. Citrix has like the market for this. So if anybody tries to encroach on Citrix's stuff, they're going to get just sued to oblivion so they can't exist. And it's one of those markets where it comes to remote desktop or remote app work, it's a very tricky subject. It's really hard to find something good that's not thousands of dollars, because every Microsoft solution or Citrix solution is thousands of dollars. And that's why all of us are like, oh, it's dicey, because you might, the worst case thing is to do this for a client or your business, and then 2 years from now they get sued to oblivion, and then you have to switch it out, and you're going to have to patch everything, you're going to have to do all that. So that's why I preface that to say, hey, if it's just like a one-off for a handful of people or a small business, you might get away with it. But as far as like a big business using this type of stuff, it's just, there's no way that would work in the long term, because they're probably going to get sued to oblivion. AnyDesk, like TeamViewer, AnyDesk, all these other ones, those are just remote access tools. We're talking more having a remote workforce and remoting into a central server. So you typically would set up a full, like it's called a TS server, a terminal server, and you'd host everyone's desktop. So everyone's effectively working on the same box in the same data center at the same set of data. And then you basically can spawn all these different desktops on that one box. And that's basically how most businesses are set up these days. It's very very powerful, but at the same time, again, Citrix and Microsoft just owns the space. Why do you have to pay so much for RDP? Couldn't you just use SSH or something for free? Yeah, Chris, the big thing here is usability and making it super simple for anybody that approaches it, whether it's someone that's just, obviously not tech savvy. And SSH is not exactly user friendly, to say the least. So that's why. That's why. Thanks so much for the super chat, Alice. Oh, Vayon? Yeah. I think actually Vayon, I did a video on Vayon for those. That's a free tool as well. It's used in classrooms. I think I did a video on that, I want to say about a year ago. So if anybody's interested, let me see if I have Vayon. Yeah, here it is. Free remote control software, Vayon. This is the open source tool that works on Linux, Windows, I think even Mac too. I set it up on all three. So here's Vayon, Vayon video. Great tool though. Great tool. And that's completely free and open source. Yep. Yeah, Citrix is beyond expensive. Like I said, I was paying, we had a couple thousand users, and I want to say we were paying about 50,000 a year in licenses. It might have been 100,000 a year. I can't remember, but it was well into the 5 digits, possibly six digits per year in licensing fees. It was crazy. I haven't used VMware Horizon for VDI. VMware usually has the market on lock though. Like when you get into virtualization solutions, VMware is usually the market leader. But yeah, usually I'm just using like VMware Sphere or something like that to just spin up a couple VMs. But I don't really use VMware. I haven't used VMware in years now, surprisingly. But I'm pretty sure they're still the market leader in virtualization. Was Citrix at least good for that price? Citrix was amazing. I love the product, but the price is just ridiculous. But yes, it was worth it. You could load up any application. We had people running full on what was it? Full on the counting, everything. They could just spin it up on a freaking iPad if you wanted. You could stream entire apps to any device. You could load up pretty much whatever you wanted. So Citrix is extremely powerful. There's a reason why they make as much money as they do. It's very, very good, but it's very, 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 very expensive. Yeah, RDS has always been kind of a nightmare. I like the original RDS from like server 2000, 2008 R2. Oh, you could set up one of those. It was actually pretty affordable back then. I haven't really done much with Hyper-V or any of the newer versions of whatever the spinoff of RDS is now, or if it's still RDS. It's been a while since I've done anything like that. Yeah, most health insurance companies are all using Citrix. I mean, it's a very, very good product. It's just a kind of a pain in the butt to administer. But I have, I think one of my certs. Oh man, it was an old version of Citrix. I think I got certified for administration. I think it was 6.5. But I remember doing an entire Citrix farm in like 7.12, I think it was, or one of the teens, the newer version where I had to deal with NetScaler and setting up Director and doing all that. It was not very fun, to say the least. Alrighty, guys. Well, I wanted to just jump on here. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these live streams just to kind of jump on, and it's like a good refresher and just kind of chat with folks. It's a lot of fun. I love coming on here and just chatting. I'm not gonna like leave these. I'll leave them unlisted so you could easily go back and watch this, or go into like the playlist, or if you're a member, it'll be on one of the playlists in the main channel page. But you can always come back to this link. So if you save the link, you can watch it. I just am kind of hide this live stream after the fact, as most people don't like sitting down watching 2 hour live streams after. I usually upload all my Twitch live streams over onto the Titus Tech Talk channel as well. So if you're interested in a lot of the live streams, you can always check those out. But is the script finished? Oh, before we go though, that's a good point. The whole reason for this live stream was the script. Let's go desktop. Desktop. And let's just go and reboot our computer and see if our Windows is busted or not. And if not, we'll do a commit to the script, and then you all can try it out. We just basically took away some of the stuff that would flag like antivirus tools, and we also took away, did some SVC host optimizations around 4 GB computers, but you could even tweak that a little bit further in the start of the stream. If you have like 16 gigs of RAM, you could push that SVC host up a little bit more. Also, there were some networking tweaks in there as well. So it should be overall a pretty good update for this. I want to redo the GUI. I might actually subscribe to Posh GUI and just pay him the $7 a month just to redo a lot of the PowerShell, because it's really nice to have that kind of interface to make PowerShell scripts, which I might, if there's another tool out there, let me know in chat whether or not that would be good. Yeah, this looks pretty solid. What are we looking at for startup? CPU usage. Let's see, performance. We're at about 3.4 gigs of memory usage. As far as processes, about 122, which that's to be expected. I got like Steam running and RoboForm and GreenShot. I got a bunch of miscellaneous tools. So, yeah. I would say Linux Mint. I love Linux Mint, man. Ash, Linux Mint's good. But yeah, no, that's good. Let's do a commit here, and then you all can check out that new tool, or at least the update to it. And I'm still working on redoing some of it. We'll just go ahead and grab this. So we'll just do, I'm not going to commit that file. Say SVC host and remove defender. Optimize SVC host and removal of, oh, actually we should call it disabling Win Defender removal. And we did that just for the antivirus, so that should be pretty good. And I might look if we can do it another way that won't get flagged by AV programs or Microsoft. I'm all for it, but that should be pretty good. Yeah, I love GreenShot, by the way. It's a great freeware tool on Windows. If you don't like, because Snipping Tool, I think I removed. Is Snipping Tool still here? Oh, yeah. See, Snipping Tool is moving. Microsoft, of course, anytime Microsoft makes a good program, they're going to kill it. Because I have always loved the original Snipping Tool, but they want to do a snip and sketch directly from the App Store, the Microsoft Store, and get rid of Snipping Tool altogether. That's why I use GreenShot. I think I did a video about this a while back, and then they had such backlash, they pushed it back, but now they are officially finally sunsetting Snipping Tool, which sucks. All right. So that should be there, and we'll just go ahead and launch it real fast just to make sure that's committed. We'll go into Chris Titus, and I think it's just debloat in 2021, and we'll just grab that, paste that in. Yeah. So all of our tweaks are in there. The removal of Defender on the low setting. All that looks good. So I'll keep updating this too. Again, I really want to rework this and then also institute like a tab program where I could tab over and then you could revert all your settings. It's just finding the time and just doing that. I also need to check out some other forks. I know there's been some brilliant people in the community that have taken this project and really dumped a lot of hours into it. So I need to check that out as well. Yeah. The OOSU downloads directly from. It directly downloads from. Oh, what is it? Oh no, shut up. Yeah, it directly downloads it every time. Oh, ShareX. Okay. Let me look at ShareX. What are you guys talking about? Sometimes I get the best just from comments and messages. I get the best suggestions. ShareX, it's all open source. Screen capture, file sharing, and productivity tool. And productivity. Damn, it just does everything. Well, that does look a lot better. All right. I got to go make a video about ShareX, so I'm going to have to let y'all go. I appreciate all the stuff, all the feedback and everything from everybody. It's so great. Oh my gosh, this is that's just a great one. That should be on YouTube somewhere, and it's gonna be. I'm definitely gonna be making a video about it. That's so great. Oh, is it win-lose only? Oh, well, you got. I love Flame Shot for you Linux users out there. Flame Shot, love, great. And if you need a little more utility instead of Flame Shot, you could always use KDE's. Oh, what is it called? Spectacle. Spectacle's pretty good in KDE as well. Anyways, guys. Oh, I'm going to get out of here. Take it all easy. Thanks for coming in, chatting, all that good stuff. Oh, man. Vintoy as well. Ash, thank you for that. I did that one video about the ultimate USB drive where I showed Yummy, which is terrible compared to Vintoy. Vintoy is so great. Vintoy and ShareX. Getting on right now. putting it in my how-to or my little to-do list. It's going to be a video in the next couple weeks. Both those things are getting made and out. Anyways, guys, thanks so much. See y'all later.